You're welcome back. This is Newsfile, your most authoritative news analysis show. Now, on the issue of the CD and how it is behaving very beautifully these days, what do you, as economist, what do you attribute to this behavior rather than the Bank of Ghana's, pumping of more dollars into the system? And is it sustainable?
Well, I think it's based on several factors. I do not think that it is because of the central bank's 20 million that is actually causing the appreciation. Of course, it triggered it because by that announcement alone, people begin to have that kind of positive expectations about the currency appreciation in the future. And in currency determination, expectations play a key role in the current depreciation of the currency. And so once that announcement was made, even though the money might not even have hit the banks, and also you remember the IMF at around the same time also said that government has performed well, and therefore it's likely it's going to release the second tranche of the ECF facility to government. And we also have heard an announcement that the World Bank is actually giving government about $150 million in support of its budget and some additional $400 million. Now, all that, gave a very positive picture about the future stability of the currency. So by that alone, it immediately changed people's behavior. It reduces the speculative attacks. The fact that people were holding the dollar, buying and reselling in the future reduces, because then you become much more cautious. You know that, well, if I buy it, if by tomorrow the cedi appreciates, I'm going to lose. So people begin to think twice about speculating on the dollar. So for me, that is what is really playing that critical role in the cedi appreciation.
Is it artificial?
But the issue is whether it is artificial or not. If you look at the central banks on the what central bank said, and even when you look at the macroeconomic environment, you realize that inflation has not reduced. And so if where inflation is going up and you still have your currency appreciating that much, then you can be entering into a danger of overvaluation of your currency, which is also can be counterproductive. Okay, the depreciation in itself is not good. Likewise, appreciation is also worse. It cannot be good for an economy. What economists often seek to have is to have a stability in your exchange rate determination, not the wide swing from up and down. And so for me, this appreciation, well, is giving the people or the macroeconomic environment some kind of relief, and therefore people are kind of happy. But it's also affecting some other sectors. We are not having a win-win situation. We are having a win-lose situation because, because those that actually are outward-looking, those that want to export more and get some more income, are today reeling their teeth, because maybe by the time you were exporting, the cedi was 450 Ghana cedis. So you have made your calculations, made your projections based on that. This is how much you're going to get. By the time you export and your revenue comes in, the cedi has depreciated by about 25%. That means a huge loss to you. So that is not going to give you enough incentive to produce more. But that is what this economy needs. The production, having more export-oriented development strategy is what we need to sustain the currency. The demand-driven side, what the central bank is saying, is going to sustain the cedi. I beg to differ. We're only going to have relative a short-term stability, because look, last year similar thing happened when in the first, second, third quarter the cedi depreciated by about 32% or so. Similar thing happened when the central bank went out to get the 1 billion euro bond money, and then also the cocoa syndicate loan. Immediately, the cedi began to gain some strength, and also the announcement effect that came to bear. That is when we announced that we're going to the IMF. All of that came together to stabilize the cedi. But that is the demand-driven. So once that is a demand-driven, people expect that these monies will come, and therefore it will reduce their speculative behaviors.
This is your area of comfort. You've heard the governor, Dr. Wampa, say that they are putting in place measures that are concrete enough to ensure that this is sustained.
Right. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
You're not optimistic about that?
I am not. It's a good start to give some kind of relief, but I think it's not going to be sustainable. Now, already the central bank's international reserves has gone below the threshold. It's about 2.9. And the central bank is assuring us that it's expecting about 4 billion inflows from the donor partners and then the Eurobond and the syndicate loans. And that's huge. But if you estimate the demand that the economy needs for $1, all this is going to be a short gap measure. Because by the end of December,
it's
most of
these... It's going to even tighten the forex measures again. And we're told
the regulatory measures?
There are other, measures that the banks will have to face.
Well, all those are monetary policy, conduct that the central bank often uses to control money in. So that one will not make any much different. The issue is about the demand and supply factors that determine the exchange rate. So now you are able to meet the demand up to a certain stage by end of December. Now, by the end of December, many people will start importing. They would have been paying for their orders and all that. So this injection would have dried out. And once it dries out, then you need another injection. Now, to what extent will the IMF continue to inject money into your economy? To what extent will the World Bank continue to inject money into your economy? To what extent can you continue to borrow on the syndicate loan? Of course, that will come, but to raise money from the international euro bond, because already your debt stock...
We are doing well, and you seem to still be suggesting that
your debt
we are failing the policy credibility.
Well, I just want to end.
I
think what the central bank should really focus on, to me, is to set a band, a lower and an upper band, to try to gauge people's speculations, because that is what is really causing the harm, apart from the weakness in the market fundamentals. If the central bank should not wait for the cedi to hit over the roof before it intervenes, because when you do that, you shock the economy. When the cedi was approaching almost 5%, things rose up. I mean, prices went up. When it's coming down to...
You're not suggesting they sat there idle.
Well, why are they doing something now? What they are doing is good, but it's a bit late in the day. They could have stopped the cedi from hitting 4. If they have set a bound,
pumping more dollars into the economy is not new.
No,
what
I'm saying that if you commit yourself by setting an upper band and a lower band, you allow the cedi to oscillate within that band, so you don't need to intervene. But I, as an investor, I'll be able to tell that there's no way the cedi will hit beyond this level, because that is the band that the central bank has set. So people will not speculate on the cedi to make gains. Right, because they know that it will not go beyond that. And the central bank stands ready to inject whenever the cedi is about to cross. So you do not wait for the cedi to hit above the roof before you inject.
Tell me, you guys, how do you do this? The central bank, the governor and his team, and we also have an economic management team of this country, and we know that they are quite, great guys in their brilliant chaps. They, get into caucus. They come out with plans and everything else, very sure about how it is going to assist the economy. And you guys just poo-poo it. And you say, look, we shouldn't have confidence in what they are doing, because, from what I'm hearing, that this is not sustainable. But they are saying we are doing enough to make sure this is sustained.
Well, at the very best, I hear them say that we are doing our best. But it just happens sometimes that your best is just not enough. If you recall something Dr. Bawumia said in respect of a country's currency, he says you can do all the things and paint all the rosy pictures of your economy, but if you're doing just propaganda, or if you're not doing enough, your exchange rate would give you up. Because you see, it's the interface between your economy and that of others. That is what we are witnessing. Look, this pumping of money, not because we are anticipating a certain high demand at a particular time, maybe during Christmas, or there is a good reason to anticipate a high demand for foreign exchange, in which case the Bank of Ghana should come in and absorb that shock. That is what I know to be management of monetary policy. This coming in to be pumping money as a kind of usual exercise is strange, and for me it's a mark of economic failure. Look, there's nothing to be excited about this drop in the cedi, except the fact that, well, if it's going to make fuel prices go down temporarily, the way the cedi was falling, it's arrested it, it's brought some psychological comfort. Yes, we love those things, and we can be happy about those things. But let's face it, there's everything about the current management of the cedi that suggests that our economy is getting worse and worse. I've already made a point that this mode of pumping in money as a usual thing is unsustainable. We don't need anybody to tell you that to be putting $20 million a day into the economy is unsustainable. So it should be obvious to everybody that this is not the solution. Look, quickly, a comment on some of the points Doc made about speculators. It is not because any speculators got any signals or that the IMF thought we were doing well. Look, there are now sophisticated speculators in our economy. You see, once we went out to the capital market, those investors who invest in our economy, once you draw the attention to your economy, there are people in there who are professional speculators. They don't depend on statements by the IMF. They don't depend on statements by, they read your economy, they build models. They know what is also, if you go for a dollar-denominated loan and you're using it for a long-term project, they know that the pressure is going to come to bear on you, because those long-term projects would not yield foreign exchange immediately. They know. If you, for instance, go for a facility, you're using it to purchase cocoa, let's say, so that you sell the cocoa immediately, you have your money back. The speculators, they know. So there are sophisticated speculators in our economy now because we expose ourselves. It is not a bad thing, but it tells us that when we go for money, we must put it in ventures that will pay back properly. Those are the speculators we are dealing with. So I see the current drop as nothing but the artificial injection of money into the economy. Now, the broader question we should be addressing is, how did it come to this? The cedi has always been dropping gradually, we all know it. But in the last, since 2012, we are seeing a certain constant pressure on the cedi. It's an indication that the economic management is just not right. Things are getting worse and worse, and it's not just in respect of the cedi. You're looking also at our deficit, because you see, when you incur the deficit and you find ways of financing the deficit, it is those ways of financing the deficit that will bring you the problems. When you have dumso, your export base is weak, an already weak manufacturing sector is now suffering under dumso. And government increasingly is putting taxes, petroleum. When you have to buy fuel to power your generators, government is putting taxes. And increasingly, you're exporting less and less, your cedi is bound to have problems. What we need from government is not this injection of a cedi or the kind of measures the Bank of Ghana is promising us. But because you see, there's no shortcut in economics. The only way to get your economy out of trouble is to produce more. Yeah. There's no other, all these monetary policies, they just...
But you know what you're talking about is long term. We are in this crisis now, and we need to get out. And you say what is going on is no solution. Yet, your solution is the old solution we all know.
The point is that, let's take just this administration. It's been there for almost 7 years. And anytime it comes, there's a long-term solution. This one is short-term. And we've been doing short-term for 6 years and a half, and we want to still talk about short-term. The point is that the strategies are wrong. Government expenditure too big. We are told that it is improving, but you're not getting we are not feeling it. If government expenditure is improving, I mean, in respect of the over expenditures are correcting, and government is borrowing less, I want to see treasury bill rates come down. I want to see all the things that will be evidence that indeed government is having less appetite for excessive spending, in which you have so much corruption and you have so much mismanagement. We want to see evidence of that. Until that happens, this injection will not be sustainable and the city will be back to square one, to close. We should weigh all these also against the promises President Mama in particular has been making to us over these years. I will hold the city. We will cut government expenditure. We ought to be asking...
That's better than talking down the city, right?
But well, what is talking down the city?
We've been told how talking down the city has led to its depreciation.
I have already made the point that anybody who thinks that there are investors out there now, and when you say, oh, our city is not going to do well, then they come and speculate. Look, we've gone past that. Now, there are sophisticated speculators who model our economy.
All right.
So the simple point I'm going away with is that enough of we would fix the economy. Enough of the economy will be resilient, as we heard in the last sessional address. Enough of we will hold the city, we will do this. We want to see practical action that will make our city stand and not need this kind of artificial unsustainable intervention to give us, I'm landing, to give us a temporary relief. But to land on this point, Samson, you see, I have already made a point that we should enjoy the drop as it's happening. I expect to see utility prices go down as these prices go down whilst it lasts. But when it is not sustainable, it gets business very uncertain, because as soon as they stop injecting the money, because fundamentally we have more demand for forex than we are able to generate, it is going to rise again. And then you see the frustration that we all don't want to see. I think government should watch its economic management and give us a better deal.
Right. And then as if to summarize what you've been saying in some other economic terms or financial terms, Gabi Asaro-Chirodako says, what the Bank of Ghana is doing is what may be called sterilized currency intervention. Sterilized currency intervention. It is not a sustainable strategy, but it can work if our economic policy is good enough to maintain confidence in the economy. We are banking on using the Eurobond and the syndicated loan for cocoa. Mind you, we will get into the next cocoa season owing already some $600 million worth of cocoa supply due to the bad harvest this year. Really? $600 million worth of cocoa supply due. $1 million. Then what are we going to get out of the rest of the time if we owe that much? And he says, also, the cost of servicing our debt will continue piling up pressure. Can we bank on confidence in the economy returning? That is where I have my doubts. So far, let's enjoy it whilst the big six flex their muscles against the Queen and dead president. Gabi Asare Ochre Dako. Now, Abraham, like Gabi is saying, 25% depreciation last year. That was terrible. Now we have the city trading, as of sometime at June 30, trading at 4.33 to the US dollars. And today, as we speak, it's trading at what?
About 3.25.
3.25. Last week it was 3.3 there. Certainly, we ought to celebrate this. But more importantly, how do you know we are sustaining this?
I'm told just in 2 weeks, the city has appreciated by 26%.
That's right.
And that's why you catalog. Watch those who are talking and are not happy. There are those who the Bank of Ghana policy has dazed. You get the point? They are dazed. They cannot, they are fed on this CD issue, the depreciation of the CD for a very long time. It's just like pulling off the carpet from their feet. So sometimes when you free a chicken after it has been tied for a long time, it feels that it is still standing and then it cannot go. That's the situation in which they find themselves. We have criticized the Bank of Ghana for putting in policies, forex policies, that did not help, isn't it, in the past. I thought that to balance the equation, these people should begin to praise the Bank of Ghana.
Which people?
Here, and the Gado Chodako should begin to praise the Bank of Ghana, and for that matter, Wampa, for putting in place this issue, this policy. See, the double tongue speaking is where I have a problem. When we are talking about doing so and we say that, oh, we have a long-term plan, they say, hey, people are dying now, solve it now. We are talking about a policy that has brought about a relief immediately. They say, what? This cannot happen. This is not sustainable. What do these people want at all?
The best for Ghana.
They want this country to go bonkers, bananas, before they will come into power and resurrect us again. I find it difficult when a bank, that's the Bank of Ghana, putting in place measures, 200 million every day, 20 million every day. This has led to a reduction in the appreciation of the cedi. That is problematic. See, I have been told that a number of policies and a number of measures led to all this. Doc has alluded to our IMF program. I am telling them 3 weeks ago when they were saying that they have not seen any impact of the IMF policy, I'm telling them today what we are witnessing now is the impact of the IMF policy, if they don't know. I told them sometime on another platform that everything has a gestational period and that you didn't expect that a 3-year program, that's the IMF program, which is 3 years, will start bearing fruit in 3 months. In any case, we are in our 5th month or 4th month. It has started bearing fruit. I'm not saying it's an economist who is saying it. So how do we sustain this? Look, $20 million injected every day, I'm afraid cannot be consumed by this economy. I'm told that you must be a rich economy to be able to mop it up this 20 million. All of it cannot go. Though, that we cannot take it all, isn't it? This 20 million is huge.
I'm told there are some scavengers we should watch. I describe them as scavengers, that our neighbors, you know, some not really our neighbors, like Nigeria, do come in when it's this good. And all they do is this currency business.
But I have been told that if people now go to the bank, there wouldn't be any motivation to go to the black market. Because what they want can be provided by the banks. And so anybody who goes to the black market, you and me who have our $10 bill or $50 bill, who goes there. But those who are actually business people would have their dollars catered for in the bank. That's
I
a
think
good
the
thing for
concern
them.
really is about the source of supply. Where is the central bank getting this 20 million to put into the market? That is the most important thing.
Well, I thought you heard the Deputy Minister of Finance say that it is from our reserves, and beyond that, we also have...
Yeah, so the reserves, you need to have a constant inflow into the reserves.
Yes.
But where you're getting this shoring up of your reserves from are largely, from borrowing sources.
No,
and that's the concern.
We sell our primary products. We collect dollars.
That's the most important thing.
Get the
and
point.
so
We
the
collect
issue
dollars.
is
we sell
when
our
you,
primary products.
when you act in a way that hurts your primary product, the export of your primary products. Because the issue is when the IMF program and others are talking, they are not talking about appreciation. They are talking about stability of your currency. So the appreciation, the extent to which the cedi is appreciating is dangerous for the real sector of the economy because you are rendering your export uncompetitive. And that is where you should have a sustainable supply of forex.
Acknowledge that something good is happening.
Yes, obviously.
But beyond that, how do we get out of the woods? That's the point. People are just making the argument that it's not good, it's not good. let's agree that something good is happening. How do we get out of the woods? That for me is the argument. And we have been told, time without number, how we want to reduce our importation of some products like sugar, like rice. And even I'm told that TOR has started operating. When you go, you see the fumes. They've started operating. That will reduce the importation of crude, isn't it? So some TOR has started operating.
How would that reduce the importation of
it will refined products. So the point is that if government is doing all these things,
where would they get the crude from?
It is
just slotting these for us.
I'm saying that TOR is operating now.
Where would they get the crude from?
The refinery is operating now.
But where would they get
import them from outside again?
The crude, they will not import them. The crude.
But if you are importing crude and you are importing the refinery, don't you know how impactful it is? You are now going to, if TOR is operating now, that one has been taken off. That's the point.
Which one has been taken off?
Oh, okay. Refined products.
Sorry, make your point.
Refined products. TOR is operating now.
Make your point. Yeah.
So, because we are now doing these things in terms of reducing the importation of rice, even chicken has also been reduced by our policies of trying to give broilers for the farmers. I think that at the end of it all, this is what would sustain the city. But for the time being, in the short term, there's a relief. Let's acknowledge that and not to poo-poo it as if nothing is being done. The governor of the Bank of Ghana should be commended for this initiative. You said that, yes, it has come late in the day. I agree, it shouldn't have hit 4 before they do this, but never late than never. Let's acknowledge the little things that we have as a nation before we can be talking about what is not happening.
Very, very interesting there. And let me hear now from Egbert also. Certainly, you are no economist, but you should understand
Samson,
how
I
it
studied
affects.
Economics up to sixth form.
I know. I know. But you see,
I'm fast.
Yes, but this impacts on all of us.
Yes.
What's your reading of the situation?
Samson, it is simple. I mean, no matter what the economists will say and everything, I think that the sages have said that money is a coward. It will never stay where it is not. It will not get protection. I repeat this. Money is a coward. It will never stay where it will not get protection. So you can go to IMF and bring money, you understand, to monetize the city, if I can say so, to monetize the city. Because the city is no longer behaving as if it is money. So the city has to be monetized. Now you monetize the city, but you don't produce enough. You have doomsday and the rest. How do you expect in the period that you are supposed to pay up these loans to catch up and pay? So we are in a sinking, we've sunk ourselves in a hole and we are digging further to sink. This cosmetic, rise of the city, I think that it is just because of this monetization or whatever that the interventions that we are doing. But Samson, it is, you see, the city is in a cancerous state now, as far as I'm concerned. And with cancer, you either do management of the condition or you get God in his providence to heal you or cure you. You understand? It is clear that the management of the economy or the managers of the economy today have lost the plot. How can you, in the light of the doomsday we've experienced in the last, 2 or so years, accumulate it? And see, you expect to meet revenue targets? You expect to meet production targets? How do you expect national income to grow? You understand? And so, as far as workers are being laid off, people are spending to run their selves, and all these things that we are doing to sustain ourselves in business and all the rest, they go to benefit Western economies, not our economy. You understand? So, Samson, there's a certain look at the way we treat our city. Go to any of the lorry parks in this country today. Truck drivers and the rest. You know what they do? There are people seated at the filling stations, the lorry stations with coins. And so if you want 10 Ghana cedis coin, you actually give the coins, you give them 10 cedis. And they discount the 10 cedis you're giving them and give you, is it 99 cedis. There is a currency act in this country. I think it's Act 242. That provides that if you do that, it is an offense and you ought to be prosecuted. This is how we disrespect the city. We see it every day. So who pays for that margin, the 10, the 1 cedi margin? Who pays for it? These are the little things we have done to ourselves and the city, and when it snowballs amidst other factors into what we have on our hands today, and then people say the economy is robust, we are going to look people in the eye and tell them these kinds of untruths. I think that we ought to take ourselves serious. Every GSS pupil, SSS people in this country, if you give them an essay, as far as they are studying social science, and you ask them what are the causes of what we find ourselves in today, they will give you, they will run it by rote. So what is it that the people in charge of our economy today, is it that they are not intelligent? Is it that they are not clever? That they cannot confront this downward spiral of the city? And
haven't they confronted it? What kind of confrontation are you talking about?
With a $20 million a day injection. Is it sustainable?
So say that it has been catered for, but is it sustainable? That's another level of argument.
Let me finish. Let me finish. It is not sustainable.
When the thing is down now,
it is a wrong method to use. You want to fix Doomsaw, and you are asking for time to fix Doomsaw. You don't realize that Doomsaw, as far as I'm concerned, is key to any economic progress that we make. And you are asking for time? I mean, Samson, capital flight, you make reference to allusion to Nigeria. Look, the multinationals in this country, we see them at the end of every fiscal year, they aggregate their profits for the whole year and repatriate. You understand? There are some who have consistently said that, look, it doesn't make sense for us to do that, because it means every first quarter of every new year, we will have a certain challenge with the economy. So what you do is that you need to sit down with them, pass laws, and say that, look, you cannot take your money out. You will take it out, but you need to stagger it. You understand? Okay. To give the economy certain, shock absorbers and the rest. But here we are. You talk and talk and talk and talk, and people think that, I mean, because they are in government, they know all more than anyone.
Okay, I'll take a very final comment from Dr. Sibe, and then we'll move on. And I want you to tell me what your expectations are briefly, and summarize what you think we should be doing right to keep the cedi rising in the manner that it is doing presently. Okay, I've got some messages that are really talking about, the way the country is it import driven, and that is actually killing this particular country. But a very long message, and Albert Adogo says that, ends the message with what he says. He says, has the balance of trade deficit decreased or increased? It is not automatic that when currency is weak, exports will be boosted. Let's have a very strong currency. Let's avoid encouraging those who speculate negatively on the cedi. Thank you for those messages, quite a good number of them. And also Kweku Owusu Ansa is asking that our leaders always talk about changing the structure of the economy. I've heard that many times. What of tourism? He thinks that is where we should also pay attention to. If we were to improve roads to various tourist sites, the receipts of tourism is direct. For instance, if 1 million tourists visited the country annually and spent $1,000 averagely, that will be $1 billion. Does the IMF have to do this basic thing for us? Okay, so he says we should do something about that and take advantage of all the things that will do good for us, because he's giving examples about how Gambia, Morocco, Tunisia, etc. have done well in this area. So briefly, what should we look at?
I think
the solutions, sustainable solutions.
Well, first of all, what we should aim at is to try to achieve stability. That is the first and foremost. And the issue is the central bank is doing well in the short term, fine. But you need to be able to sustain whatever gains that you are making. The strength that the city is gaining is not a desirable outcome for an economy. What is desirable is, like I mentioned, is for us to have stability so that it will help businesses to plan. It will help exporters to plan. It will help importers to plan. And it will also have that kind of ripple effect on the economy so that the entire economy stabilizes. this is what is happening is also a fluctuation. It's a volatile kind of system. So I want the central bank to know that at what level of fall is it actually looking at? Does it looking at 2, which it thinks that it is optimal for this economy? If it thinks so, that is fine. Then once it should be able to communicate that this is the level that I think is optimal, that will consistent with every macroeconomic
In fact, that point
indicator.
that you made earlier that you are reiterating now, one Harold Boateng in Labadi is agreeing with you and says that, I agree with Dr. Sibe that there is a need to set a minimum and or maximum level in the management of the currency. Anything less than this would cause doom for our currency. And sorry, but on that note, sorry, if we have to go around again.
Not around again, but just because Abraham made some specific about these people. It is, I mean, look, this is...
That's the way they view
you really want to react to that.
Yes, I do. Because it is this tendency to reduce matters about economy to NPP, NDC, that is partly responsible for where we are. We go for Eurobond, we go and get IMF money, we put it in reserves, we pump it into the economy, 20 million a day, and you are saying that that is an economic strategy. And if I will not jubilate that, and I'm using this as an occasion to point it out to you, that this is not a sustainable strategy, and that we should be going to the basis, cutting the expenditure, living within our means, boosting our export sector. Then he said, NPP, NDC, and we should jubilate about it. Just cut that.
Because one of your campaign messages is taken away, you are worried. Because you have nothing to say.
It's campaign season on yet.
Because it's not, you can't say the city is falling.
So you
are worried.
You pump 20 million up to next year.
Let's hear what some of our listeners too are saying. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's hear what some of our listeners are also saying. And Larry Dogbe says that the defilement, Larry, why it's too early in the morning, the defilement of the underage city by the giant dollar will persist because we love foreigners, foreign foods, foreign telecom companies, foreign banks, foreign mining firms, even foreign schools cutting away foreign exchange from the economy. Well, the court is stopping some of them. The only thing we own are newspapers, radio, and TV stations because we are talkatives, where we speak foreign acquired accents. Very interesting there. And okay, this one is from Kofi in Winneba. He says, Amaliba, stop defending the indefensible. There is no excuse for Matilda and Mr. Arthur's comments. And then another one says, the headmistress first should know that this request must be channeled to the district director of education. Second, the headmistress should have used the platform to ask for durable facilities like toilet, library, and other facilities. Third, the second lady should have directed the request to the director of education. Okay. And then fourth, the DCE and director of education had failed in their basic role. As such, this is coming from Tosa Mauli. Thank you for sending in that one from Debronga Hafo. And then another one says, these issues will continue to come up if a country we continue to demand, as a country, we continue to demand free things, free education, free health. Do we demand or the politicians give them to us? Free education, free health, free maternity. Most parents are now irresponsible. Parents must be responsible to take care of their kids. You didn't identify yourself. Another one says, talking about self-help, the second lady could have said, I will send you a message, but in the interim, the headmistress could make alternative arrangements. The long and short, however, is that she was totally wrong. Okay, and then too many of your messages still on the second lady issue. Can we deal with the others, really? And then, government should take back the fuel price control, or the OMCs and BDCs will soon turn into a cartel. This is coming from Ken, and that will be very dangerous for us. And then Kwahina Asante
I think it should be Kwabena Asante, but there's an H there. Kwabena Asante. But if your name is Kwahina Asante, then that's okay. It says, I think the government lacks ideas on how to sustain the currency. How long will it continue to pump the dollars in without tackling our main problems? A lot of businesses go to China, so why can't we start trading Chinese yuan? So it decreases the demand for the dollar. That was an interesting, idea there. And the call for expansion of the guinea fowl and the poultry industry. All of that will be useful. Thank you for those messages. And Kwesi Echampong says, what are we seeing? What we are seeing now, is that what you mean? Amalgamation of the government BDCs and OMCs to fleece consumers and Ghanaians behind the veil of deregulation. This is purely Sakawa. Isaac Obing in Amenfi says that what the government is doing to arrest the dollar is unfashionable and unfortunate. For how long can the BOG, that's the central bank, continue to pump dollars into the system without robust policies from government to empower people to produce more goods and services for export? All our effort is cost 90. There is constant pressure on the cedi for the past 4 years, and the government keeps handling it with kids' gloves. Nana Akwesi Asafwe in Amsterdam says the monopoly of the BDCs and OMCs is a deliberate act by this government to extort money from the innocent consumers. The NPA will create room for illegality when they just decide to be a supervisor of the sector, because per their act, they are an authority which is supposed to be doing more than they are telling us now. Emmanuel Agbleta in Ho says, I am not surprised at the BDs at all. The BDCs and OMCs are taking the public for granted, just as government and MPA took all of us for granted. All these people are playing on the intelligence of everybody just because we have decided to be quiet. Well, not all of us have decided to be quiet. The African Center for Energy Policy, and you have heard the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, they are all threatening to head to the courts. And maybe, just maybe, Kuku Kwating, who is known to go to the court over these matters, will support them to get the court to give us what we deserve. We will take a break here, and when we return...
I can say on behalf of the minority, that's all those illegal taxes that government is seeking to push in there. If they do, challenge it. We'll fight it. We'll fight it. Not just in Parliament. We'll use all our resources to fight it.
Okay. Parliament.
And you mean you are going to court?
We'll do whatever it takes. Okay. We'll not allow them to insert these taxes. If they want to impose taxes on petroleum, they must come properly.
You'll have your say. You'll have your say. They will have their way. Yeah. So your only way is court.
They've even gone to court and their noses have been bloodied. You've gone to court on several occasions.
Okay, very interesting. So when we return, we will deal with what I just mentioned, and someone sent a text and says, I am courting an invitation to the Privileges Committee. I asked the question about the big, profuse sackcloth and ashes apology, whether it is cowardly or it's a smart way to shut up a parliament under attack as a completely ignorant tyrant. We'll be right back.